conversation. In this session, I will share what is effective SRE and how practicing this can help us to save the error budget. Before I share about the effective SRE, I think it's better for me to start talking about the error budget first. So, let's say SLO is the confidence level from the team to their service they own, and I think the error budget is the buffer that we can use for planned or unplanned events in production. For a planned event, this can be something like upgrading, patching, migration, or schedule maintenance. And for unplanned event, basically any kind of production issue is unplanned event. If I can split the incident process into sub-processes, there will be 4 sub-processes, that is acknowledgement, investigation, mitigation, fix or repair. We also have mean time to detect, mean time to recover, and mean time to resolve. And the objective of an effective SRE is to reduce or at least minimize the duration of each process. So eventually to spend the error budget more efficiently. Let's go through one by one for more detail. The first process is acknowledgement, which is the process when the team or system get notified. The requirement for this process, that is, the first one is SLO. We need to have SLO defined for each application or service that we own or we maintain, which later we will use it as a benchmark or threshold for other systems like notification, service, or alarm. Next one is metrics. There are metrics for infrastructure, service, and also for data, and other metrics like DORA metrics, where focus on deployment, development and deployment, and also the popular one is the 4 golden signals, where we need to monitor the latency, traffic, errors, and saturation. And then logs, similar to the metrics. In the logs, there are also application logs, infrastructure logs, any kind of logs, also system logs. But there's one important thing about preparing the logs. Before that, we need to understand the consumer of the logs. First, the log that is consumed by the system. This can be alert system or any automation system. For this one, we need to have severity information in the logs, which will be used by the system to trigger an action. Second, the logs that consumed by the developer. Usually these logs have more detail like stack trace information. And the last one, the important thing for SRE is the other engineers. So it is expected the first responder in production issue is not the engineer who developed the application itself. This can be the L1 or L2 support or any your teammates who usually may not fully aware of the service. So what actually we can do about this? What we need is a custom log that provides a straightforward message. For example, this common error message for S3 exception. This is common error that we can see in the error log. So what would you do if you see this error message? Maybe you will need to find the repository name first, pull the code, and try to understand what this code is doing. Or you can also open the ticket to AWS support, send them the event ID and extended ID that you can find in the log, and wait for them to reply with more detailed information. Okay, now let's compare if we have this information in the log, which whoever the incident commander or on-call engineer is, they can take immediate action without spend some time for doing analysis. So this information is straightforward and easy to understand to anyone who see this message. At least there are 3 main information that can be useful during investigation. The first one is the actor, who is doing the action, and the action itself, what this actor doing, and the object. Now it's about the process on the acknowledgement. We can get notified either automatically like alarm or pager, Or we can also get notified manually, like a ticketing system to get a report from external organization, from the user maybe, or from your client, or for internal communication channel for external team. This can be a Slack channel or dedicated Slack channel, or what's called a Telegram group, WhatsApp group. And of course the last one is a dashboard for internal or on-call team to monitor. Okay, so the next sub-process is investigation. Well, it is the process where you try to find the root cause of the production issue. In this previous process, I already mentioned the logs, but during the investigation, we need more logs and logs. There are API call logs, production change logs, activity or event timeline, or in AWS they have CloudTrail, access log for ELB, S3, and also low-level network activity or VPC flow logs. All these logs have different information and only relevant depending on the issue itself. The next one is dashboard. So what's the difference with the dashboard in the previous sub-process? During investigation, we only need some of the metrics, the one that more relevant with the issue, which later we can correlate with each other and each other metrics and to one that can give a perspective. And it is called a single pane of glass, but keep in mind that single pane of glass doesn't mean we put all the metrics in one interface or in one dashboard, or it may break your browser. The metric that we should put are the main metric of the application, the data source, and the up or downstream data. We see this as an end-to-end monitoring. The next one is APM, or Application Performance Monitoring, or in AWS they call it SRE. This feature like we zoom into the application and see more detail inside it. Some of the useful information like the request time for external data like API, or the time taken for database query, or CPU utilization for each process, and so on. APM is very useful feature and it is quite costly actually, and if you have budget constraint, it's better to install or enable this feature to some of the nodes. Let's say if you have 1000 instances, enable the 10% should be enough. It's better because it's better than no APM at all. The last requirement, of course, it's a internal documentation. Just make sure that we put all the detail in the documentation. Again, the one who handle the incident is not always the one who create the application, so better to help them by create a detailed and holistic documentation. Okay, and then for investigation we need tools. Many tools for different purposes can be used. The one that related to network, hardware, process, security, and analyzing the logs. So during investigation, knowing and using the right tools can save time, especially if we're dealing with huge amount of data. The difference can be significant. The next one is methodology. There are some options that can be used for doing root cause analysis. The first one is tree diagram, where we break down the issue based on the symptom. From the symptom, we list down the possible root cause until we get the actual root cause. It is a very common method. And then there's a 5 whys. In this method, we keep probing or keep asking a question about the situation until we come up with a conclusion. Here's the example from the common use case where the user report that they cannot open the home page. Why we need to doing these 5 whys? Because if we don't keep challenge ourselves with this question, we might satisfy with the conclusion that the root cause is 90% of CPU utilization from this example, where this solution is as simple as upscaling and or adding more nodes. But we need to fix but it is not fixing the actual root cause. And then the next one is the event correlation. I found this feature in Datadog, but I'm not sure if CloudWatch has the same feature right now. With this feature, we can compare one metric with the other, and compare one metric with the other one and with the other that has same pattern, which can help us to distinguish which one is the root cause and which one is the impact of the root cause. Okay, the next process is mitigation. So in this process, we should focus on restoring the service back, because investigating takes time and fixing also takes time, but we must think about how the user can use our service again, even if just doing a temporary solution like restarting the web server, adding more nodes, or block certain IP or port if it is related to security. Anything that can make our system up and running again. And some of the requirement for mitigation is like providing a runbook for each application, which also cover the edge cases. Upgrade your team skill. Remember that production issue can be from many factors like security, performance, bug, cloud, cost, database, network, etc. So to expand your knowledge is the same important as in-depth knowledge, at least that's for SRE. So if you are good at system or creating application, but if your application running on cloud, it's better for you to learn more about what this cloud vendor provide you for analysis, for debugging, for troubleshooting, anything that can help you to uh, mitigate or investigate the issue. And I found that the post-mortem review is very important because we can learn valuable things from here, something that we miss or something that we need to focus on more, the edge cases, anomalies. All these things are not something you can find in any formal course or training. And then a sufficient permission or role. Your organization may want to limit high-level access to certain team member only. But remember that the incident commander or the one who handle the incident needs this permission to take immediate action. We should minimize the time for escalation if it's only for a simple task, but require higher privilege, like create or reboot or terminate an instance. And for the last two, the explanation as simple as any changes that can be automated should go through via CI/CD pipeline. Other than that, you need to have a change management process which is the set of rules if you want to make any changes in production. And for the process, for the mitigation, it's a common process like the collaboration within the team or external team or with vendor, and creating the communication channel, how or where should we initiate the communication. So in Autodesk, on every production issue we should create a dedicated Slack channel with the certain format for the channel name. Then we invite all the relevant people, the stakeholders, management to the channel. And not also on some cases we need also to invite external from the external organization. For example, like we need to invite AWS TAM or engineer for discussion in this channel. So this can help us to isolate the conversation and share any updates or finding faster. The last one is action. As I mentioned earlier, mitigation only focuses on restoring the service or minimizing the damage if it is related to security breach. The last sub-process in incident handling is the fix or repair of the actual root cause. In production issue, there is two kind of root cause: the contributing factor and the actual root cause. How to distinguish between two? Well, if your fix will not causing the same error again, then it is the actual root cause. But if still happen, then it considered as a contributing factor, not the actual root cause. So let me share about our use case in Autodesk. So there's a production issue that happened recently in my team, where our CI/CD pipeline somehow unexpectedly triggered the deployment in production and causing an issue. Since the evidence show us that the CI/CD causing this, so we tried to fix the CI/CD part and managed to we managed to patch this right away. We tested and deployed the patch to production, and it worked properly, as it prevent the CI/CD to run unexpectedly. But does it solve the actual issue? Well, no, it didn't. It did not, because the actual root cause is not the CI/CD, but there is a missing parameter in the configuration file, and the previous patch did not resolve this issue. So this is the example of what is the difference between the actual root cause and the contributing factor. So what's the requirement in this phase? Firstly, you need to have clear escalation path. Few example like who will take responsible for each level, what is the expectation from each level, and how to collaborate between level 1, level 2 and level 3. And the next one is the impact analysis. We need to have some kind of checklist which we need to make sure that we already done the proper assessment for these changes. And for the process itself, this can be minor changes or major changes. Fixing a major changes can be refactoring the code, redesign the workflow, or maybe re-architecture the infrastructure. A quick recap. Handling production issue consists of 4 processes: acknowledgement, analysis, mitigation, and the fixing itself. The effective SRE is about to standardize the process of incident handling so the resolution can be done faster and more accurate. And not only that, this framework can be adopted and adapt on every company or organization, and it doesn't matter on how they organize the SRE team. Question?
And I'm joined all the way from Singapore this evening by Boyka himself, who you should be able to see now on your screen. Boyka, what time is it for you over there? You hearing me?
It's 1:30 a.m.
1:30 a.m. Wow. So yeah. We'll get through some questions and then let you get to bed. Obviously you've spent some time thinking about SRE and those sorts of things here. How long have you been working in this way at Autodesk? When did you sort of start on this journey?
So this is my 3rd year in Autodesk in data integration team. Yeah.
And was SRE the sort of mode of working there sort of from the beginning, or is that something that you've introduced as you've been working there?
So I start in this team as a DevOps engineer, but since I have same permission and same privilege as SRE, and also I participate in most of the production issue. Yeah. So so automatically my involvement in as SRE is since beginning.
Right, gotcha. And I guess with this being an AWS meetup, maybe you can talk a little bit about the ways in which AWS makes this easier for you, or the sort of things that you're particularly doing around AWS that aids the SRE process.
Yeah, the the great thing about the AWS that they not only provide you the infrastructure to operate your, also the all the all the necessary thing to for debugging, for analyzing, for investigating, like even for the CloudWatch itself, they have a lot of feature that can help us to from investigating and fixing the root, analyzing the root cause.
Mm-hmm. How many teams are we talking about here? What's the size of Autodesk as an organization? How many developers are you supporting in that SRE model?
So in this team we have around 15. It's a small team, but how we organize the SRE team. So we have a dedicated team, separate team that handle the L1 and L2 with the first responder for any production issue. And then after the L1, L2, it go to engineer in our team. So in total, responsible in production is around 3 team that consists to 20 person in for each team. Yeah.
Right. Gotcha. There is a question from the Twitch stream. Thank you, Azusan. He asks, or they ask, I shouldn't be assuming gender here. How do you organize your documentation and runbooks? For example, how do your SRE team members find relevant documentation for a specific issue?
First, the runbook is created based on the application that we own, that we maintain, and from the content itself, we have something like the infrastructure diagram, and the components name, the PIC, the contact person for this component, and also this runbook is are stored in the L1 and L2 team. So it's not we own the runbook, but it is stored in L1 and L2 team. And to find it relevant, it is based on the component itself. So basically, every incident happen, we try to correlate with the application itself. We start with the application itself, then we go based on the symptom on the runbook, where we can find in the runbook. Yeah.
Is this like a wiki or some other kind of document? What's the technique you use for maintaining those docs?
It's more. It's not like wiki because we have separate wiki and we separate between wiki and runbook. So in the runbook, we just put it all. What is the common error that we usually found in the production, and also we put some symptom where if this symptom happen, and what is the step need to be taken to solve this issue. And let's say if they don't find the step or the solution, we define what kind of information that we need to pass to the engineer. That we need, this information that we define in the runbook.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess let's talk a bit more about AWS things. Is there anything that you've got on your wish list that you'd like to see from AWS to make your life a bit easier? Something that you're hoping might show up at reInvent this year?
Yeah, I think one useful metrics that for at least for my team is a correlation matrix, where we try to compare between one metric with the other metrics. For example, like if one machine has a CPU reach 90%, sometimes we need to compare which other component that has this same pattern, so we can correlate. It's easier for us to investigate the root cause.
Right, and you like to see that out of CloudWatch or something like that. Gotcha. Good stuff. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us this evening, Boyka. Appreciate it. It's pretty late for you. That's all the questions I have. I don't see any more questions in the chat. So thanks for calling in and sharing your wisdom with us. And we'll hopefully see you again another time. Thank you.
Sure. Thank
Thanks.
you.
There we go. It's Boyka, 1:30 in the morning in Singapore. That's some commitment to knowledge share for sure.